All right, Sports Inquirer here with Matthew Fearnley from Georgia State men's soccer. Team is off to an undefeated beginning to the year, including a 4-0 win over UAB. Matthew, you scored the first goal of the contest. Take me back to that moment to give the team the lead.
We started off strong. Thought we was on the front foot from the get go. The balls got played down the side. I've seen Aris beat the defender as he normally does, and then I just bursted a gut to get in, and luckily enough, I could stick it away.
Coach just talked about the team just getting off to good starts and keeping that going. Do you feel this was your most complete contest to date as a unit?
I think we started off well in every season that I've been here, to be honest. But I think the mentality from the lads this year, compared to the difficulties that we've been given in terms of whether we was going to play or not, whether the season was going to go ahead, the lads took that on well, and we were stung from the get go. Lads were getting onto each other. The competitiveness in training has been the best since I've been here, and lads are pushing each other for positions and want to get into the game. So I think that always helps in terms of getting a successful start, and hopefully we can keep that going into conference.
What has it been like for the team? You mentioned it just now, all the adversity, the things off the field you got to deal with on the field as well. You've had to play some games at the football stadium at Center Park as opposed to your normal location in Pantherville. What does that show about the team just going through all that and yet still able to be undefeated right now?
I mean, we have a principle instilled in us from the get-go, which is the GSU, which is gritty, smart, and unite. And I think the word gritty sums it up, really. You just got to get on with it and grind out whatever adversities you're faced with, whether that be COVID testing, whether that be people not being able to play because of COVID, or changing venues at last second. You've just got to, at any point in soccer, you just got to play with what's in front of you, whether that's your starting 11, that's a different stadium, you play whatever you're faced with.
Right, and now the team's ready to get into conference play. You start off with your big rival, Georgia Southern. Coach talked about the last time you played them at home, you opened up conference play, you all got a defeat. What do you see maybe different about the team this year that can maybe change that result?
Like I said, going into the season, our mentality was strong from the get-go. I mean, we had lads come in late because of travel bans and people not being able to start training because of COVID, or there was a lot of things thrown our way in the start that wasn't ideal. But I think this year we're ready to go. We just need to. Last year got us off to a really bad start in conference, and luckily enough, we were able to turn it around in the tournament. But it's that first game, it's that must-win mentality to push you on for the season ahead in terms of conference play.
Now, where did you spend the summer? You're from the United Kingdom. Did you spend this summer here, or did you go back home? And did you have any effects of it as far as you're traveling or with everything that's going on as far as how you prepared for the season?
So I flew home just after spring break. My girlfriend's from the UK, so she came to visit me, and she got stuck out here. And then I was trying to change my flight to get home, and then flights were getting cancelled. So it was quite a hassle to get home. I got home mid-March, and then, I mean, the bans in England was a lot more stricter than here. Like, we was on lockdown for about a month and a half, where you couldn't really leave your house. You could only leave your house for essential travel, and like going to a grocery store, something like that. But luckily enough, I managed to find a job, and I worked over summer, so that kept me a bit sane. Otherwise, I think my head would have started to go sitting in the house all day. And then I just started to keep as fit as I could. Obviously, we didn't know when we was coming back, if we was coming back, or when the season was going to start. So keeping myself ticking over, doing little circuits here and there, running sessions, put me in the best position to hopefully kick on this year.
When did you actually return to the United States and to Atlanta specifically?
So we reported, I think, August 11th, and I didn't arrive till August 13th. And that was just due to flight increase in terms of pricings and the travel ban itself, trying to find a flight, because it was quite a stressful process, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then I arrived August 13th, tested, and then trained 2 days later.
Wow. What led you to come to Georgia State? You have a very international roster. I spoke to Iris early last week. It's just a unique. A lot of people like to hear about that. How you come from England specifically all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, to play soccer. What was that journey like for you and that decision process?
So from a very young age, I thought I was quite mature as a person in terms of being a bit more mature than people at my age. And I was at Bolton from the age of 10 to 18. And I weighed up my options. I got offered a 1 year contract at Bolton. It's called a third year scholar. And then I weighed up my options. I always had America set in my mind because I know people that have been out here. I have a family friend that's a head coach in North Carolina. I know somebody that plays in San Jose. So I kept my options open. I spoke to an agency called Sports Recruiting USA. And basically all I had was a highlight video, and they just posted it to universities. And then you just go through your emails, look at which ones are interested in you. And Georgia State popped up. I sent a message across to SIUSA, and I was like, what do you think of this uni? Like, they're really interested in me. And I spoke with Danny, the assistant coach. I was talking with Brett on text, and then Ricky, the other assistant coach, came to watch me in one of my final games for Bolton. And then I was pretty much sat on it, really. I spoke to my mum, spoke to my girlfriend, spoke to family. And mum's always instilled in me is take your opportunities as they come. And to be honest, I don't think I'd ever get this opportunity again. So I thought, why not? And it gives me a backup plan if soccer doesn't work out, that I've got a degree in place to fall back on.
Yeah. What is you liked about America and the United States, specifically Atlanta? And I think when you started, I don't think Atlanta United was in existence yet, or maybe just announced that they were starting. But what's that like for you being here in Atlanta now, which has become very into the sport of soccer?
So my freshman year, I think, was the second year,
Mhm.
or maybe it was either first or second year in the MLS. And luckily enough, I dropped on really lucky with my roommate in freshman year. His dad took me in as basically one of their own. I go to every home game of Atlanta United that we can.
Mhm.
And to be honest, I love the mentality Americans have in terms of helping each other out. So whether that's when my family came over, my roommates, the two roommates that I live with now, Clay and Gunther, their parents looked after them, made sure that they was made welcome, and showed them around a bit. And then when my girlfriend comes over, she comes over on her own, and then both parents look after her again. When, for example, when we're at training, making sure she can get to games and stuff like that. So I dropped on really lucky in terms of them looking after me and my family. But I'll obviously I like the weather. At home it's quite cold and rainy, whereas here, I mean, not this semester because it's been quite rainy here, but it's warm all the time, and you can train outside 100% of the time, more or less. I just like the facilities as well. I mean, I prefer living in America. I know people back home won't like me to say that, but I do prefer living in America, and it's something that I hope to instill into my future.
It is the last thing. We've done some work on our site with Atlanta United players and some European ones like Jack Moraney, who's Irish, he's on the team, and Anton Walks, who's British as well. I want to get my terminology right because I know there's the United Kingdom, there's British, there's English, but I think Anton's from England. But the point
Yeah.
is, they talk about the lifestyle here being very different and a little more laid back as far as
Yeah.
being professionals. And you're collegiate, but you're very professional as well. The atmosphere being a little bit better in that regard, as far as having a home life, not being hounded on the street, just the support you receive. Do you find that very similar analysis?
Yeah. And so what I think people forget to realize is in the UK, soccer is the predominant sport. It's literally everything you watch. There's rugby league, bit of golf, and then cricket. But cricket is different location specific sort of thing. So it's not popular all over the country, for say. So soccer is the main sport throughout the country. So if you're in the limelight, you can't really go out because people know you straight away. It's televised all the time. Whereas here, there's more wide range of sports like basketball, NFL, baseball. Then soccer comes into the mix, and I find that quite interesting. Even though soccer is beginning to become very popular over here. Like obviously, I've been to anti-United games where it's been like 73,000, and that's more than what they get back home. But I think here it's more family orientated in terms of like taking your family to go watch Atlanta United. There's not much swearing, or it's more of a professional family environment. Whereas obviously in England it's a bit more serious and a bit more strict. So people tend to get on your back a bit more if you're not performing, as we've seen with previous players going over to England and just not being able to handle the pressure that it comes with.
Yeah. All right. Well,